Hi guys, I'm Chris Bowles and I'm Director of Operations for High Adventure Treks. And this video is the 7th grade rock climbing and rappelling video. So if you're looking for a different camp out, you're in the wrong location. And if you're looking for the 7th grade rock climbing and rappelling, you're in the right location. So I have with me Mitch and Emmy Abrahams, who will be directing the October 1st through 3rd rock climbing, the October 15 through 17 rock climbing camp out with Elle and Kirk Vitry. And I also have Charlotte Kleckler, who will be directing with her dad, Shane, and Chris and Victoria Hathaway, the October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rock climbing camp out. And then Mitch is going to be coming back with his son Hudson for the Sons rock climbing, and I'll be there with them as well, October 8th, 9th, and 10th. Directors' emails and phone numbers are available in the participant packet. If you have any questions about the camp out, please feel free to reach out to the director for your camp out. That participant packet can be downloaded from the same site where you found this video. And we also have great mentor teams on these trips that will be helping us run the show. The other way to download these, if you go to the Campouts tab of the Membership Toolkit application on the HATS website, that will get you to the packets and the videos. Okay, so HATS mission. You're in 7th grade, so you should be pretty familiar with this by now. Growing your relationships, communication, and leadership through adventure with our dads. And of course, with rock climbing, we're going to have a lot of adventure. We will have plenty of opportunities to work on growing that relationship between dads and daughters and dads and sons. And rock climbing is all about communicating effectively, so we'll be working on our communication. And then leadership opportunities as well, especially when you're looking at doing a rappel that might be a little bit scary at first, but convincing yourself that you can do it, that's an opportunity for leadership. The theme for this camp out is, who do you trust? Trust is a big deal with rock climbing. We want to make sure we can trust our gear. We want to be able to trust our rock climbing guides. And you want to be able to trust the person that's belaying you, whether that's your dad, or whether that's your daughter or your son. Trust is a big deal with rock climbing, just like it is many activities in life. And we're going to be exploring that some with some of the other activities that we do on this weekend. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Mitch.
Thank you, Chris. We always like to ask, when does your adventure start? Well, guess what? The adventure starts right now. We hope that you and your dad are watching this video together, and that you're going to start thinking about what you're going to bring for food, what you're going to pack, and what supplies you're going to need, and also think about what your goals are for the weekend. We are excited that you're going to spend this quality time with your dad and with your son and daughter, and we want you to think ahead of time about what you want to get out of the weekend. We also have some goals for you. We want you to spend that 48 hours with your son or daughter and with your dad. This is uninterrupted time away from electronics to make sure that you're really growing that relationship that you've done throughout your HATS experience. And we also want you to learn about trust. We want you to learn about, how do you know who you can trust? How do you test that trust? How do you learn how to be trustworthy to others? These are all very, very important life skills that we want you to think about during this weekend. And we also want you to use your dad as a team, so that you can know your dad is always there to trust, and they can help you decide who you can trust, who you might not be able to trust, and how you as a person can grow to make sure that others can trust you. So a very important part of this weekend. And then of course we want to always think about the mission, so we want you to continue thinking about communication with your dad, growing that relationship, and then of course leadership skills. Next, we're going to talk about one of the very important parts of HAT, which is the 18-inch rule. Charlotte, would you please tell us about that?
Definitely. So, as Chris and Mitch were mentioning, everything that we do in HATS is going to be based on our mission statement of growing relationships, communication, and leadership through adventure with our dads. The only thing that is going to trump this mission statement is safety. So we have implemented the 18-inch rule, which is one of our non-negotiables, to help with safety. That means that you do not want to be further than 18 inches from your dad, daughter, or son throughout the camp out the whole weekend. This does not mean that we are going to take a yardstick and measure the whole time, but it's more of a metaphor as in, you want to be with your dad, your daughter, or son. You're not going to be growing that relationship, communication, or leadership otherwise. And for safety, if you go out, say dads, you go out and wander and you hurt yourself, if you have your daughter with you, then she's going to be able to get you help faster than if we have no idea where you are. So if something happens, you're going to have a buddy with you at all times, and what better buddy than the person that you are growing said relationships, communication, and leadership with. So that is why we are going to have the 18-inch rule over the weekend for every HATS camp out. In HATS, we like to say, where does safety start? It starts with me. So the 18-inch rule is going to be our best way to implement that safety starts with you. Next is safety throughout the weekend. We want you to be happy and healthy throughout the camp out. And this means that you want to be drinking at least 2 liters of water per person throughout the whole entire weekend. And when I say at least, I mean at least that amount, if not more. We want to stay hydrated. If you aren't hydrated, you can get sick very easily. You're not going to feel good, and you're not going to have a good time, or will be able to focus on that mission statement with your dad, daughter, or son. And then for the sun, even if it is cloudy, you always want to be putting on sunscreen. The sun can still hurt you. UV rays will be going through those clouds, whether they're there or not. So sunscreen is going to be very, very important. We do not want you sunburned going home to your mom's. And then last, if you have an EpiPen, inhaler, or any medication that a mentor or director needs to be aware of, please let us know ahead of time so that if anything were to happen, say you're allergic to bees and you were stung, we know the best way to effectively help you and get you the care that you need. Additionally, throughout the camp out, we will have a designated safety mentor team. This means that a dad-daughter mentor team on your camp out is going to be one of the only people, if not the only people, who have their phones with them. So this is because if you are in a medical situation where we cannot help you there, we need to get you to a hospital or get you help outside, we are able to call and get you that necessary help. They will also have their car keys on them, as well as the only car that will be on the campsite. This is because they have the directions to the closest hospital, and if dads, daughters, or sons get hurt, we will drive you to the campsite. Dads, if your child gets hurt, you will not be driving them. We want you to be focused on taking care of them and not worrying about the road. So we will be driving you to the nearest hospital to get you that help that you need. So that is why they will have their phones on them, as well as their car keys and their car on the campsite as well. If you have any medical necessities, they're going to be a great person to ask. But we will let you know who that is ahead of time, so you don't have to be wondering throughout the weekend. And next is Chris is going to talk about our COVID protocols.
Yeah, one thing that I want to say about safety while we're on the topic of safety, and the coronavirus protocols really are a part of this as well. So our HATS mission is very, very important, of growing relationships, communication, leadership through adventure with our dads. But the one thing that does trump the HATS mission is safety. And so we want everybody going home at the end of the trip in as good a condition as they started on the trip. So that's why we emphasize safety so much. And so that leads us into coronavirus protocols. So if you camped with us since we went under the overhang of COVID, you're pretty familiar with the coronavirus protocols that we are using. And we have a committee of doctors that is helping us navigate our protocols while we're under the overhang of COVID. Mitch is actually one of the doctors on that committee that is helping us. And our guidance starts with the CDC guidelines. So what we're going to be doing, you can find these, by the way, in the participant packet. There's a protocol, a COVID protocols acknowledgement that we want you to review and sign, and also have your students sign. We'll be checking your temps when you arrive. We'll be asking you about any history of contact with active COVID, any symptoms that you might have of COVID. So that is before you arrive at the camp out or when you get there. We are going to be asking while you're on the camp out that we work on maintaining social distance. We'll be wearing masks when we're within 6 feet of other teams. We're going to be asking you to bring plenty of water and soap and do frequent hand washing. That's one of the best ways to prevent COVID. And our directors, as we've been doing for a while, will be disinfecting the porta potties periodically. So another thing we can add to our resumes, Mitch. So we are not the mask police. And what we are saying in our protocols, we're not having a mask mandate, but we are strongly encouraging teams to wear a mask, as we believe this is an effective way to avoid transmission of COVID. And so far, we are still maintaining our record of no known transmission of COVID on any HATS trips with, well over 1,000 people on HATS trips since under the overhang of COVID. So we're not the mask police. We do ask that before you not have your mask on in front of other people, that you have their permission to not be wearing a mask. We are a leadership development organization. We embrace diversity. We want to model the way with diversity, and we will have a spectrum of concern levels about COVID, from people like me that have been fully vaccinated and I've had COVID. I'm not too concerned about it, but I still want to be respectful of the other people on the trip that perhaps are not vaccinated and have not had COVID and are working to avoid COVID. So if you see people that are clearly worried about COVID, wearing masks and looking for social distance, please respect that and allow them to feel comfortable on our HATS trips as well. Again, the coronavirus protocols acknowledgement and standard HATS waiver are in the participant packet, and we ask that you sign both of these and bring them with you and hand them in when you get there so that we can minimize social engagement. And Charlotte, could you tell us about weather on HATS campouts?
Definitely. So HATS is an all-weather camping organization. This means that we are not going to cancel a campout for weather. So we want to be very prepared for whatever weather is going to come our way. It's going to be a big part of the adventure. Some of like HATS members, their favorite campouts are the ones with the craziest weather. So we just want to be super prepared, and so we can have those wonderful memories in the weather. And so you want to have decent rain gear. Ponchos are not going to cut it. They are not going to keep you dry. Wind is going to kick them up. You are just going to be wet with a layer of plastic over you. So what you want to do is you want to, if you don't already, go over to Walmart. You can get some good frog togs. They're not very expensive. If you'd like to get some more expensive gear, that is completely fine as well, but ponchos are not going to cut it. So something like frog togs will be best for you on the campout. You always want to bring your rain gear. If you don't bring it, it is going to rain. If you bring it, it might rain. So you always want to have your rain gear with you. Wind is a big part of almost every HATS campout I think I've been on, so you want to be very prepared for any wind that may come your way. This means bringing extra guy lines and stakes for your tents or any pop-ups that you may have. So it's very, very, very important to make sure that you have your tent and everything staked down very well, because if a gust of wind comes up and takes your tent away and we aren't on the campsite at that moment, then that is going to be very problematic when we get back. So you want to make sure that everything is staked down very well. Bring some extras. It's always better to have too many than not enough.
And we will be gone most of the day on Saturday.
Yes.
With our tents, whatever happens, happens.
Definitely. So you want to make sure that you are prepared for any weather that comes your way, whether that's layers, rain gear, having extra stakes for your tent. And then as well for weather, it can be a concern for some. So a big part of a safety mentor team is additionally they have their phone to check up on the weather throughout the weekend, so that if something more serious comes along, that we are prepared to handle that situation and keep the camp out as safe as possible. So they will be giving updates throughout the weekend of any rain that may be coming or any further storms that may happen. So we will have some you don't need your phone for that. We have a safety mentor team who's going to be keeping you updated on it throughout the whole weekend. And then Mitch is going to talk to us about the schedule.
Thank you, Charlotte. Any of you that have been on a HATS campout know that we make it a very full weekend. For Friday night, we want everybody, if they can, to try to arrive by 8 p.m. in the evening. That gives you enough time to set up before we circle up, which is going to be around 9, and do some activities. We have some fun planned for Friday evening, as always. For Saturday, plan on it being an early morning. We're going to be getting up. We're going to be grabbing our things for the day, and we're going to be driving from the ranch to Mineral Wells State Park, where we'll be doing our rock climbing and rappelling. We'll be there for the majority of the day, probably till around 3 or 4, and then we will all drive back to the ranch, where we will do our pretty typical Saturday evening festivities. We'll have our communal dinner, we'll do our HATS chat, we'll do our ghost stories and campfire and all the fun that we always look forward to, and of course Dutch ovens. Sunday morning will be a pretty typical Hats morning. You'll have about an hour to prepare a team breakfast for you and your son or daughter. And then we'll do our normal games, breakout questions, and we promise to be finished with all the activities promptly at 11:30 on Sunday so that you'll be able to pack your stuff up and head home for other things that you may have going on Sunday afternoon. If for some reason you need to leave earlier than 11:30 on Sunday, we do ask that you pack up your things first thing Sunday morning and that you're all packed up and you've moved on out before we circle up Sunday morning. This is so that you're not distracting everybody else, doing that in the middle of our activities. Chris is going to tell us how we're going to get there and how we're going to get to Mineral Wells State Park.
All right, thank you, Mitch. So those of you that camped with us for 6th grade spring rock climbing, in the spring we were camping at High Hope Ranch and driving about 70 miles to Mineral Wells State Park and getting there by 8 a.m. We have found a new ranch near Mineral Wells with the help of Grant Galliford, one of our Hats dads, and we're going to be camping on this new ranch. It is a ranch that is owned by Nathan and Jenny Giddings, and they're very excited to host High Adventure Treks camping on their ranch. So we're very appreciative of the opportunity to camp on the Giddings Ranch. Now there will be a map in the packet to tell you how to get there. The address of the ranch is 650 High Lonesome Road, Grayford, Texas. And if you put that into Google Maps, that's going to take you right to the turnoff from Highway 254 north of Mineral Wells onto the lane or the driveway for their ranch. So 650 High Lonesome Road. Most of the routes take you through Weatherford and then north of Mineral Wells. So you will end up on Highway 254. It's also known as Lee Avenue. And once you're on Highway 254 and traveling west on Highway 254, that's where you'll pick up the first hat sign that will direct you to your left turn onto the High Lonesome Road. And there is a street sign there on Highway 254 showing High Lonesome Road. Now when you get to that turn, you see the hat sign, you see the street sign for High Lonesome Road. There's 2 lanes right there together. You can make a left turn into the first turn, or you can make a left turn into the second one. They're right beside each other. You're going to want to take the second lane, and that is the one that's High Lonesome Road. So make that turn onto the second lane on High Lonesome Road, and that is the lane or the driveway going down to the Giddings Ranch. So you'll take that dirt road, that lane, about 3/4 of a mile. And when you get to an area, you'll see a trailer on the right, and you'll see a farmhouse. You're going to kind of curve to the left, and that's going to take you to a gate. And when you get to that gate, you're going to need to open that gate, drive through it, and close it. And please make sure, please be careful when you're going through that gate that you make sure and get that gate closed behind you, because in that pasture are goats. The Giddings Ranch is an active ranch. They have both goats and cows. So that first pasture is the goat pasture, and we really don't want to spend our time chasing down goats, so please don't let any goats out of the gate. And so you'll follow a mowed path and somewhat of a lane through that pasture. If we need to, we'll put out some hat signs to help guide the way. So follow it through that pasture to a second gate. Now that second gate is another one that's really important, because that's the one that gets you from the goat pasture to the cow pasture. And one thing so those cows may come to that gate because when they see a vehicle, they think it's time for food. So the cows are, they're not exactly domesticated, but they're also not aggressive. So need to figure out how to get yourself through that gate without letting the cows into the goat pasture or the goats into the cow pasture. Make sure you close it behind you. So I want to let you know that one of those cows is a bull. That bull is not, again, not tame, but not aggressive. But when I was there, I camped out on the Giddings Ranch last week to check it out. That bull came right up to me, stared at me eye to eye, seemed very placid. I reached out and touched his nose. It really startled him, and he jumped back. So it's kind of scary to have a 1,000-pound cow jump back, when you're there. So if that bull does come up to you, just slowly move towards him, and he'll back up and move off. But you should be able to get your vehicle through the gate. Just be careful. And just don't let any of the cows into the goat pasture, goats into the cow pasture. So there's a bull and about 5 cows, so not too many that you have to worry about. And so you'll continue to follow the mode path or the hatch signs until you get to the camping area. And it's not too far after you get through that second gate. So overall, it's about a 2-hour drive, might be 2.5 hours on a Friday afternoon. So if you're aiming to get there no later than 8, then that gives you an idea that you need to leave the Dallas area by 5:30 or 6 at the latest. So I wanted to make one more comment about maps. So we will be driving on Saturday morning from the Giddings Ranch to Mineral Wells State Park. So when I did that drive last week, I plugged in Mineral Wells State Park on Google Maps, and it took me to the old Walters Army Base. And Mineral Wells State Park used to be, when Walters Army Base closed down, the lake and the land was donated to make Mineral Wells State Park. So I'm not sure why that happens, but don't put in Mineral Wells State Park on Google Maps. Put in the park address, which is 100 Park Road 71, Mineral Wells, Texas. Or we'll also have a map on how to get from the Giddings Ranch to Mineral Wells State Park in the packet. You can also use that map. I just want to caution you, if you put in Mineral Wells State Park, you're going to end up on the Walters Army Base and the Fort Walters Army Base, and not at Mineral Wells State Park. Okay, and with that, I'm going to pass it off to Emmy to talk about food on Hat's Adventures.
Hi guys, so I'm going to be talking about food. So Friday dinner is all on your own. You can pick something up on the way to the ranch. You can bring food and eat after you set up. So it's pretty much whatever you want to do. For Saturday breakfast, we really want something that's grab and go, something that you can just eat in your car on the way to the state park. Some examples: donuts, muffins, fruit, dry cereal, anything of that nature. And then for lunch on Saturday, that's something that you'll need to bring with you to the state park. So something that's transportable. The cars are about like a 5-minute walk from the actual rock climbing. So if you want to bring a cooler and then keep your lunch in the cooler in your car, then that's fine. Or you can just bring a backpack and put your lunch in the backpack and bring that with you to the actual rock climbing site. And then for dinner on Saturday, we are going to have our communal campfire. We will be cooking over charcoal and grates, so you can bring basically whatever you want for that. There's a wide variety of food that people bring: foil packs, steaks, salmon. Some people just bring freeze-dried food. So whatever you're feeling for Saturday. And then for Sunday breakfast is a team breakfast at your campsite. So you can cook if you want to. You can bring prepackaged food like donuts or muffins. Some people cook eggs, pancakes, bacon, just whatever you think you'll have time for at your own campsite. And then Sunday lunch, most people just eat on the way home. And with that, I'm going to be talking about equipment now. So the detailed equipment list is located in the participant packet, but I'm going to hit a few of the specifics for this camp out. The first thing is the waivers. So there are 3 separate waivers for this camp out. There's the standard HATS waiver, then there's the COVID waiver, and then this one's new. It's the online Rockabout waiver. And that you can find the website on the HATS website, and that we need to fill out before you go to the campsite, because they need to have that on file before you can actually start rock climbing. So we strongly recommend that you fill out all 3 of these before you actually leave for the camp out.
And just to comment, we actually don't have the Rockabout waiver on the HATS website,
Okay.
So it's on the rock-about.com website, and you can find the waivers on the Rockabout website.
So for water, we recommend that you bring 3 gallons of water per person, so a total of 6. And you'll also need to bring about 2 liters of water with you to the rock climbing site, because we won't have any water once we get there. So just 2 Nalgene bottles to bring with you that you fill up before you leave. Rain gear, like Charlotte said, if you don't have your rain gear, it will rain. So you have to bring rain gear. Frog togs are great. You can get them at Walmart. You need an 8-pound bag of self-lighting charcoal. Please do not bring regular charcoal. We cannot use it. It'll just end up going home with Chris if he's there. So please don't bring that.
It might go home with me even if I'm not there.
And also, we want to have a fire on Saturday night, so please bring at least 3 sticks of firewood. So now some COVID-related items. Bring at least 2 face masks, so that way if we're really close and we need to put on a face mask, you easily have those. Bring hand sanitizer, bring biodegradable soap, bring wipes or paper towels if you want to wipe down the porta potties. We will be sanitizing the porta potties as we said earlier, but if you want to do that as well, then you can bring wipes and a bag. And optional is this luggable loo and pop-up shower enclosure. If you're not comfortable with using the porta potties, then you can get the shower from Amazon and bring a 5-gallon bucket, heavy-duty garbage bags, and fill the bucket with kitty litter, and then you can put the shower enclosure over it, so then you can have your own little portable bathroom. But if you do that, you need to bring all the supplies and take it all home with you. We will not be disposing of that. Next is layers for clothing. The weather this time of year is so different. You never know what it's going to be, so it might be freezing in the morning and super hot in the afternoon. So bring a bunch of different layers, long sleeves, t-shirts, your hat's t-shirt, jackets, sweatpants, anything like that. And then you'll need cooking stuff, tent, chairs, sleeping bag, all the basic camping supplies. Once again, you can look at the list that's located in the participant packet. And lastly, the things you do not need to bring, please do not bring your own climbing shoes, harnesses, helmets, or any other climbing gear. Rockabout supplies all of the climbing gear, and they will not let you use your own gear. So please don't bring any of that.
They will definitely not let you use use your own harnesses or helmets. They might let you use your own climbing shoes, but definitely not harnesses or helmets.
We are doing Dutch ovens for this camp out, so if you want to bring a Dutch oven, then you have to make sure to bring all those supplies that you'll need with you for that.
All right, excellent, great job. Thank you, Emmy. Okay, so we're in the home stretch now of the video. Thank you for bearing with us. So I want to talk a little bit about non-negotiables. Again, you're in the 7th grade, so you've been around the HATS block, and you know that we have a set of rules that we use to really create that environment that we need to effectively deliver the HATS mission. And so I'm just going to go over those briefly. First one is the 18-inch rule that is both a safety rule and a relationship rule that Charlotte talked about and explained. And then no electronics. So a camera's okay, but we ask that you not use a smartphone to take pictures. We'll be taking plenty of pictures while we're there, so you don't need to worry about taking pictures. But smartphone is a distraction. If you have your smartphone, you're going to be tempted to check your email. You're going to be tempted to check ball game scores, or what's going on, or social media, and you won't have your head in the game with really working on growing that relationship between dad and son or dad and daughter, and working on communication. We really want you to keep your head in the game, and so that's why we ask you to leave your smartphones and other electronics in the car. Of course, no alcohol. Alcohol is a mind-altering substance, plus our daughters and sons can't drink alcohol, so it's something that we're not sharing in that experience that we have on a HATS weekend. So leave the alcohol at home, please. No firearms, no pets. Those are major distractions. Firearms are of great interest to the dads. Pets are of great interest to the kids. So we ask that you leave those at home. No RVs. We're a tent camping organization, and that's part of the adventure, is being out there in a tent and taking what Mother Nature throws at us in a tent. So no RVs. And just want to talk briefly about leaving early. So, occasionally things come up and you need to unexpectedly leave early. Please let one of your mentors or directors know, so that we know what happened to you. If we don't know what happened to you, and we do a pretty good job of doing this. It's been a long time since this has happened, where we've had a team leave and we didn't know what happened. We assume that you're in trouble and you need our help, and we drop everything and we come looking for you. And if you were in trouble and did need our help, we're going to be glad we did that. If you weren't in trouble and you just went home early for some reason, that won't be as exciting. So please let us know before you leave unexpectedly. If you need, as Mitch indicated, if you need to be back in Dallas such that our 11:30 a.m. Finish up the camp out time is not going to work for you, we understand, we get that. We know that hats is not the only thing on your agenda, but we still want you to come on the trip, but we do ask that you leave in a way that won't be distractive to everybody else. And so, as Mitch said, we'll ask you to pack up early on Sunday morning and depart before we start our activities on Sunday. So those are our non-negotiables. We're really looking forward to camping with you this fall. We have a great set of rock climbing and rappelling trips planned, and look forward to seeing you out there. Thank you.
See you there.